10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, this is Don from DevExpress, and today I am with Gregory. Gregory, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you, Don?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yeah, today we're gonna do a bit of live coding with again DevExtreme and React. And yeah, we're gonna, if I'm not mistaken, Gregory, this today we're gonna talk about a React template. And you're going to be showing us the map component, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Um, and
Also, I'm going to
yeah,
be, just quickly, I'm also going to be doing a little bit on the DevExtreme CLI as well and some simple authentication as well.
cool. And yeah, I guess most important, because we got a couple of questions about it, we have set up a GitHub repo and you will be posting the code after this, or is it already there?
I'll be posting it afterwards, just in case we make any changes during the stream to what I had in my notes.
Yeah. Yeah, so once we're done with this episode, you feel free to go to the GitHub repo. It's on the screen right now, and I'll post the URL a bit later in the chat box as well, so you can have a look at the code and play around with it yourself. So yeah, Gregory, I would say take it away.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to mention that uh, if everyone is happier with this time of streaming at 1 Pacific rather than 10, to let us know. Also, what we're going to be doing is we're going to maybe split up the stream into some sections. First of all, what I want to talk about is the DevExtreme React template as well as the DevExtreme CLI. Then we'll demo our map component and we'll add some authentication to our app. And also, what we'll do at the end, if we have time, is convert the app into a desktop app with Electron. So that's sort of the schedule for today. Hopefully, we get to everything. And as you can see here on the screen, this is our GitHub repo for these live streams. These right here, we have this car wash demo, which is the app I built the last time I streamed, as well as this data grid demo, which I built about 2 months ago or so, something like that. And as we add new projects, they'll come up here. And as you can see, we have links to all our sites, all our social media. So make sure to follow us wherever you get your news, social, whatever it is. And so we'll just go ahead and get started. So right here, I have open this DevExtreme project template theme selector. So what this is a project, basically our GitHub, our React template that includes a theme selector. Last week, someone commenting asked me about how you can implement a theme selector, and this basically does it for you. And if I open our React documentation, if we go into getting started, we can see here this DevExtreme React template is basically the same as this. However, this adds the theme selector. And as we can see in this repo, we have Angular, React, and Vue. So you can choose what you want. In this case, I'm going to be using React. And so I'm just going to go ahead and clone this repo. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to bring in my terminal and hit clone. And now I can go into that project that I just cloned. And if I do an ls, we can see we have all those folders here. I'm going to go into the React folder. And then as we can see, we have our simple React folder structure here. and I'm going to clear the screen. And now what I'm going to do is say npm install inside this React folder. And that's going to take a second. And it didn't like that. Not sure why. Did I do something wrong?
Yeah, it says that the version is not okay. No matching version found. So probably the project is a bit outdated on GitHub.
I doubt that. Well,
Yeah,
I'll have
if you
to.
check out the package.json file, it says it wants to get 22.1.12 from DevExtreme.
Okay, so while I figure that out, what I can do instead is I can just go ahead and go to use our npm tool. So if I come here to React documentation, to getting started, quick start, and I could just use our CLI here. And if I bring back my terminal, I can go back out to my documents folder, and I can use npx DevExtreme CLI, new React app, and I'll just call it demo app. And hopefully this will work. And I need to install the DevExtreme CLI. And I'm going to select JavaScript as my framework type. And I'm going to choose the outer toolbar. And that's basically just where the toolbar sits. And we have a demo of that on our getting started page of the React documentation. And it looks like it didn't even want me to do that. Anyway, sorry for the rough start.
Well, I mean, these things can happen with live streaming.
Yeah, anyway,
And
so
I had a smaller issue myself yesterday, so
yeah. Anyway, so while this installs, it's going to take a while. What we can do is we can look at this authentication API I just wrote yesterday just so we can test it. And so basically this is just running on a remote server. And as you can see, this is just a simple Express server. And we have some Swagger documentation that I'll get to in a second. And basically this server just uses simple authentication and a SQLite database. So as we can see here, this post register request here, we have just a simple name, email, and password.
yeah, so if I look at the code, Gregory, I could imagine that this code would not be suitable for production use.
Yeah, exactly. This code is really just for testing purposes. I doubt I'll be posting this onto the GitHub page just because it's not really suitable for use in any app other than a testing app. Any production environment would be, would have a lot of security problems. I mean, it would be almost instantaneous before someone hacked in, essentially. But this is just going to work fine for us, though, for our purposes. And if we go back and we can see here that this app is finally built. And I'll CD into that demo app, and we can see there it is. And I can open up in VS Code. And okay, so here we are. So if I open up the source folder, we can see that this app has a lot inside it. So first of all, what we're going to do is just go to our app.js and see what's happening here. So inside here, what we have is this const user and loading, which is equal to use auth. And this is a custom hook that I'll talk about in a second. If loading, it'll render the load panel, which is just that spinning wheel. If there's a user, it'll return the content of the site. Otherwise, it'll return the unauthenticated content, which is basically the login page. And down here, inside the root of our app, we simply have our router, auth provider, navigation, and so on. And here we just render our app. And the cool thing about this is it makes it very easy to add pages, and everything is basically set up, and the coding that has to be done to get a fully functional app is very limited. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do npm run start, and we can start the development server so we can see what this app looks like. Okay, and here we are.
Nice.
So this is our standard demo app, and it just has some simple form here, has a data grid, which isn't loading for some reason, doesn't matter. And also when we come up here and click, we have this profile and logout as well. And so that's nice and easy. Oops.
Yeah, that doesn't look too difficult. Well, it was just creating the starter template. And I guess that once you log off, you'll go to a login screen or something.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all in.
And also this is our navigation template right here in the side.
Yeah, that's nice as well.
Yeah. And it's a little bit off center just because I have this zoomed in very far. But if I go here to log out, it'll take me to this.
Oh, that looks extremely nice. Yeah, cool.
And I can just put in anything here and it'll log me in just because we haven't set up any authentication. However, what I'm going to do now, so in the meantime, what I did was I just opened up another project so we can demonstrate just how the theme selector works.
Is that theme selector automatically in this starter template or not really? Or
No, so the theme selector is right here inside this DevExtreme examples
okay.
project.
Yeah.
So some of our developers just made this because there's a lot of interest in changing the themes.
Yeah.
So we just added this. This isn't on our documentation site, but it is on our GitHub page at DevExpress-examples. So if I open that right here, that's this page right here, okay? And so if I go back to the other app, I'm just going to come down here and close it. And right here, I'm going to go to the terminal, open a new terminal and run npm run start. And this should open this app and we'll be able to see how it looks. And it'll take a second just because it's, has to compile and everything. And sadly, this is using Create React app. just because it's sort of the approved method. I'm not a big fan of create React app just because it takes a lot longer to start the development server. But here, what I need to do is I need to actually log in because this is my finished project. And I just had a simple sample login, and this works. So as we can see here, we have our
yes.
themes. And it just gives me a problem.
Yeah, it gives an error, but the theme
But
has.
it is changing.
Yeah.
It's just a slight problem just because of different environments. That's why it's always
Yeah, but
nice
at
to
least yeah, you
yeah.
can change it now. That's quite cool.
Yeah, that's why I always, when I develop things for myself, I always do it inside a Docker container, so that the environment is replicatable. But that's just me. And also, as you can see here, it says my email here instead of that sample. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to do this. This theme selector, I just have a few of them in here, and I'll show how that works as well. So if I jump back here, so under, this is just to make it clear, this is that theme selector GitHub page.
Yeah.
Okay, and so inside here, inside contexts, the context folder in the source of our app, we can come here to theme.js. And this is where the theme selector is basically implemented. So as we can see, there's quite a bit here, but it's fairly easy to understand. So as you can see, we have these themes here, and these are just objects with, that link to an image, the value of the theme, as well as the text, what should be displayed in that dropdown in the top menu bar. And as we can see here, we just have some logic here for changing the theme. And if we scroll down, we have some modifications of the DOM. We have the application of a swatch. So a swatch is basically just a color palette, more or less. And then we have our theme and the prefix of our theme. And a use effect here, which will apply the theme, which will call this function.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, we're returning a theme context provider. So there's quite a bit here. And also, if you'll notice here on the side, there's this icons folder. And these are the icons right here. So for example, where that little orange is right there, those are the icons. And those are just simple SVGs. So essentially, that's what's going on there. The theme is...
Yeah, and I saw that it is stored in local storage or something, the currently selected theme.
Yes, so I'll go and I'll show you that in a second. So if I go to inspect, I can go to application, local storage, and if we see here,
oh yeah,
we have this theme viewer is teal.dark currently, and if we change it, it'll change.
Yeah, so next time when you come back to the site, it will pick up the theme that was selected for the last time.
Right.
Cool.
And so that's it. Also, this is this tasks page. So I'm not sure if it'll render in the other app when I start building it, but this is basically just a data grid. I'm sure everyone's familiar.
Yeah.
And we have pagination in this one. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you can even select the page size on the left side.
so I'll go ahead and close this, and we'll get back to our demo app to actually building it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this and move this off screen. And back in this app, we can run npm run start. You get this started up again. And it jumped us here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start by adding a new terminal down here so we can create a new page. So what we're going to do is say npx devextreme-cli add view, and I'm just going to call this GDP map. And this is just going to be from one of our templates, our demos, sorry. And we're going to say dash dash icon map. And this is going to add a map icon to our menu. So I'm going to hit enter here. And that's it. And if we can come up here to our app navigation, this basically is just how our navigation is laid out. We can see here, it added this GDP map.
That is pretty cool. And it put an icon with it as well. So it's actually going through the code and analyze and modify the code.
Yeah, as long as the project has the same structure, it can go ahead and modify that. Yeah. And as we can see, we have our home and our examples, and this is a folder.
Oh, yeah.
So it opens into a drop down. And just to show what it looks like now we have this map right here.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, so that's nice and easy.
You said it, yeah, here is the view as well. So it has added that view to the application as well.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a simple demo, basically, just so we can see how the vector map works. I'm basically just going to be copying this just because it's rather complicated and it requires lots of data that I don't have access to. So we're just going to be doing this, and this just shows the GDP of different countries, as we can see here in this demo.
Yeah.
And this is the code here. I'm basically just going to be copying this code just so it's nice and easy for us. So I'll go back here. And if we come into here, this folder, this pages folder, this is where our pages are. So for example, right here, we have that GDP map that I just created. And inside this file, we have our main file right here. So we can edit it, put the content here is what it says on the page right now. And so for this, what I'm going to need to do is import a few things. So right here, I'm going to say import map. And we're going to need export, label, legend, layer, all these different things. And this is straight out of our demo. So this is a great example of how easy it is to actually use our demos. And now down here, I'm going to say, import star as map data from devextreme/dis/js/vector map data/world.js. And this is part of our DevExtreme package. So within our node modules folder, you'll find this data. And so this is just gonna create our map for us.
Before, and it's quite complex to draw that world map.
Yeah, and these two files I'm just gonna create soon. So I'm just gonna go here and add some more. So this is just gonna add our color groups. So for example, if you have 0 GDP, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, that's what this is. And these are our map boundaries. So basically just where it's going to be on with respect to the sides and all that. Here, the customized layer. This is just basically just a simple function that we wrote just so it's easier and less cluttered. So we don't have to do this inside the main body. Minimum digits. This is just some formatting stuff. And this customized legend text will make the legends nice and easy to see and read. And so now what I'm going to do is copy in our map. So right here, I'm going to delete this, put your content here, open that out, and paste in our map control. So our map control just takes in these various fields. As we can see, we have labels, legends, our title here, and that's quite simple. So now what I'm going to do is add our data.js. And as we can see, this is just some basic data about GDP of various countries. I'm going to add our pie chart component. And this pie chart component is going to show that pop-up pie chart when we hover over some countries. So this is, again, straight out of our demo. And this just basically shows the various fields, the legends, whatever text we want to show, all that. And now I'm going to paste in our tooltip template. And our tooltip is going to render the pie chart. And this is basically what's going to run when we hover over something. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that embeds it is a tooltip which embeds the pie chart, which is the component that you just pasted in.
Right. And also, just finally, I'm going to paste in a style sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And this just makes it so, you know, what size that tooltip is going to be, more or less. So that's rather simple. And I'm just going to go ahead and start the app again.
It's actually
Oh,
a pretty good error message.
yeah. In world.js. Where's world.js?
Is that in the project? There should be.
It should be. So I'll look into our node modules folder. So I'll go to the DevExtreme folder.
Yeah.
So it'll be DevExtreme/dist. And it looks like it's not there.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and search for it then, see if I can find it. And it looks like it's not even there. That's new. That's unexpected for sure. So looks like I'm gonna have to just.
Oh, that is kind of strange, but
yeah, I don't know what's going on. Got some bad luck going today.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you'll find it.
Okay, so in this app, this is basically, I just did this exact same thing. So as we can see here, if we hover over it, we have this chart. Okay, and so that's essentially it. And if we come here, we can export it. So for example, if I hit print, it'll bring up the printer and it'll print this map. And this is very useful because with our maps, we have, for example, routes. So theoretically,
Oh,
you
that's
can
all.
build this app with various routing algorithms in order to maybe tell someone how to drive somewhere, whatever it is. Everything works. Or if you want to map a route so we can see how someone got deliver the package, the options are pretty much endless, of course. So yeah,
Oh,
so
that
we have
is
some
kind of
really
nice
cool
as well.
mapping
But
options.
this doesn't look like Google Maps, but this, if I see it correctly,
This
is
is a Microsoft map.
Microsoft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we also do support Google Maps though, so you can change the map provider to Google.
Yeah, but if
So
I remember correctly, we have documentation on how to set it up, but because of licensing things with Google, we can only describe how to do it, I think,
I
if
believe
I
that's
remember
right.
correctly.
Yeah, I think so. But of course, everyone can adjust it to their own needs, of course. Um, so if we jump back here, we can see that this added that map icon has a GDP map and all this, and it opens and closes here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and jump back to this other one, and I'm just gonna comment this out.
Yeah, maybe copy that other file from that other project, the World.js map.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That's a good idea, Don.
Because now it will give you an error on the maps data.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into our dist folder. And inside here, I'm gonna paste this JS folder, which has this vector map dash
Oh,
data
yeah.
inside it. So this should work. And here. So we have this file here. And so this should be working. And it is
It seems that it does.
not. Yes, there we go. So I'll go ahead and close this other one. And here we are with the GDP app where it says demo app and has the Sandra standard thing. Okay.
So that icon that you just added, just a question for myself actually. Where do you find it, or how do you know which one to add?
So here in the DevExtreme CLI, we can come
Yeah.
here to add a view, and it says specify the
Oh,
folder. You
yeah.
can choose icon from the icon library. And these are all our
Oh, there
icons.
they are. Oh, cool. Sweet. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so we have a lot of them. Yeah, so
Awesome.
it's very nice and easy to use. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is jump back here, and I'm gonna do really quick is just close down this node modules folder. So if we come here to API, this API folder, we can see that we have this file called auth.js. So if I open this up, what we can see is we have this function called sign in, which takes an email and password, but it doesn't actually do anything here.
Oh, yeah. It just returns true.
Yeah, no matter what, it returns true. And also we have this one called get user, and also a create account, change password, and reset password.
Oh,
So this is all scaffolded, ready to be integrated with an API. And so what I'm going to do today is do that integration. So I'm going to come here to that API. So that API is running. I have this Swagger docs running so we can just see how it works. So right
yeah.
here,
excellent tool when you're working with APIs.
Yeah, so right here we have this simple documentation. And again, I wouldn't recommend using this just because not all the routes are protected and I'm not using a proper hashing algorithm and secret key and so on. But I just wrote this so we can test it out. So for example, if I type in a 3 here and I just memorize this ID, we'll get this right here. Hopefully everyone can see that.
Yeah.
Where it just says Greg, and I just hashed this password with MD5, which is a npm package. And so again, I'm not logged in and I didn't provide any authentication information. I didn't provide any token, and they gave me this information again just because I didn't set it up properly with proper security. However, we can do this register. So for example, I can come here and say Don, and then I can say Don at devex.com, and I can say, I don't know, what should your password be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
3, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I can execute this. And as we see here, what we get back in the body is I just repeat basically that information again. This is not what you want to do, obviously, but it provides all this stuff. And also down here, we have this login endpoint. So if I come here and say, try it out, we can say Don at devex.com, and we can put in the password. And if we execute this, we'll get back this information as well as a token.
Okay, cool.
And this is just a web token. And I'll show how to implement, you basically save this token in the front end. However, I'm not going to be adding any authorization to any of the pages or anything like that. So if we jump back to VS Code, what we can do is basically start to add that authentication to this API, this auth.js file. So what I'm going to do is in this sign-in function, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Actually, I'll leave that send request comment. And I'm going to say, and again, this is inside a try block as well. And say const response equals await fetch HTTP, and the server is running on a local server, so I'm going to just say the IP address. And /API/login, and it's going to be a post request. It's going to have the headers of content type, which is application/JSON. And I'm going to add a body, which is going to be json.stringify. And it's going to have an email and password, which is going to be passed into our function up here.
Oh, yeah.
And down here, what I'm going to do is say const data equals await response .json, and say const token equals await, or excuse me, equals data.token. say local storage dot set item token is equal to token. And say local storage dot set item ID is equal to data dot data dot ID. And this is just data dot data because I didn't destructure this up here. And I have a data field in my own return value. I should have probably named it something better, but it's fine for now. And also what I'm going to need to do is return a user. So I'm going to say const user equals email data.data.email avatar URL. And instead of that picture of that lady Sandra or whatever, I'm just going to use a random image just so we can see how it changes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say pick some / photos 200. Okay. And so I'm going to say return is okay, true, and data is equal to user. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll also do this get user right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste it so it's nice and easy for us. And as we can see here, when this function is called, we're going to say if there is no token in the local storage, meaning the user is not logged in, then it's going to return false. Okay. And in the else, we're going to get the ID from the local storage and send a response to this endpoint API/users and pass in the ID. And we're going to get the data based on the ID of the user. Now, in a real app, I wouldn't do this. What you'd want to do is send the token along so it can be authenticated. But for our purposes, this will work just fine. And this create account, I decided not to do the create account and change password just because it's extra complexity for no reason. Because, like I said, this is not the proper security practice.
Yeah, and I could imagine that if you want to do the create account, well, you'll typically do the same as above, except that you're posting it to a different API endpoint, and you'll paste in the appropriate data.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar. And so what I'm going to do is I also need to modify the app. So when we come here, you notice when I click here, it says log out and all this stuff. Well, this log out button isn't going to do anything because what we need to do is actually remove our
storage probably.
Exactly. So we need to clear the local storage. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to jump into here, into context, auth, and inside here,
there happens to be a sign
here's
out.
the sign out. There we go.
Yep.
So in this sign out function, we're just going to say local storage dot remove item and say token and ID. And when we jump back to our app and we hit log out, it should be working. Yep. So if I sign into your account that I just created, so it was Don at devex.com, and then the password was 12345, And also we could add this remember me functionality, which would send a request to the backend for a token with a longer expiration, something like that. But obviously this isn't implemented in my case here. So when I hit sign in, it complains that the password is not secure. But as we see up here, it says don@devex.com.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that's all really cool. And, obviously everything still works except for this task, which for some reason isn't working.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is all going as planned so far.
That was that was not too difficult. I mean, we've prepped with the project by using the project template. There is already a whole bunch of stuff prepped, and only the stuff that depends on your backend needs to be coded in. So that was not too difficult.
Yeah, and if anyone wants more information about the template, they can come here under the DevExtreme docs and go to the application template here, and they can see everything here. So for example, the layouts, I forgot to mention, this is the two different kinds of layouts. We have this outer toolbar as well as the inner toolbar, and this just slightly looks different. It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, so we have some small variations as well.
Yeah. So this is all very cool. And so what we can do here is we can just go ahead and move on to the last topic of the day, which is making this web app into a desktop app. And I'm sure everyone watching is familiar with Electron, especially everyone who uses VS Code, which is built with Electron. And I think you mentioned when we were talking a few days ago, Don, that Electron has kind of fallen out of favor, which is somewhat true, but it's still the fastest and easiest way.
Yeah. I mean, you hear positive and negative stories about it, and obviously nothing changes that fast as the JavaScript world, so to say. So
yeah, the frameworks move very quickly, and we try to do our best to follow the times, but it gets very difficult when you have as much going on as we do, as many components and libraries and all that. So what we're going to be needing to do to add Electron is what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open up a new terminal, and I'm going to say npm I Electron and a dash capital D. And so basically it's going to install Electron as a development dependency. And so I'll just wait for that. And also what we need to do is go to our package.json file right here. And we need to add a couple things here. So inside the scripts, I'm going to add a new script called Electron, and then say Electron dot, and that's it.
All right.
And this is just going to run our Electron app, basically. Just start the app up.
Oh, okay.
Up here, I'm going to say main is index.js, which is a file I'm going to create. So this file is basically going to be the entry point for our Electron app. It's going to set everything up for us. So I'm going to say, also need to say home page, and I'm just going to say /, because I'm going to be doing it in the root of the project. So essentially, if I close down the source, everything is closed down here now. I'm just going to add a new file called index.js. And in this file, I'm going to say const app and browser window equals require Electron. And if you notice, I'm not using the module import syntax where it says
Yeah.
import something from. And it's because Electron just doesn't play well with it. And this works without any issues. So first I'm going to create a variable called main window. And I'm just going to leave it empty here. And I'm going to say app.on ready. And this is going to take a function here. And let's say main window equals new browser window. And this is going to take some options. I'm going to say web preferences. Node integration, true. And context isolation, false.
Yeah, so this is basically to bootstrap your, to create an Electron instance and bootstrap your application inside that Electron browser window, right?
Exactly. I'm going to say width 800. I'm going to say height 600. And then down here, I'm going to say main window dot load URL. And this is basically just going to tell Electron where to get our index file so it can render everything out. So I'm going to say $ braces app dot get app path. And this is just going to get the directory structure of our app. So it'll basically say like, C/documents or whatever.
All right.
And outside of here, I'm going to do 2 backslashes, build index.html. Okay. And I'm going to be building the app and then running the Electron app that way. It just makes it a smoother experience to me than running it sort of like a live server sort of idea. And I'm using backslashes here because I am on Windows. If you're going to deploy to Mac or Linux, you'd probably have to use a single /. But you can just have some logic in here that can handle that. And then so down here in my terminal, I'm going to say npm run build. And this is just going to build the app. And this is basically what you would do also if you're going to deploy this to a server. And it's going to give me some messages and other gibberish that's impossible to understand. And as you can see here, it's starting to build out this build folder up here. And in this build folder is basically just going to be a single index.html file. And that file is just going to be, enormous HTML file that contains all of our information. Everything gets bundled together using Webpack.
Yeah.
And while this is working, what I can do is let this go and I'll switch over to my project that I've already made. And as we can see here, this already has this build folder. And we can see that it has all this just images basically and some simple stuff in here and icons. And inside this static, we have some JavaScript static files, things like that. But if we go to our index.html, we can see it's just a big mess.
Oh, yeah.
And it just links everything together, all our JavaScript and all that. So down here, if you remember, we created that Electron script. So I'm just going to say npm run Electron. And here we go.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
so I'll
there
close
it
this
is.
down, close everything so we can see it on our desktop, make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to just log in. I'm gonna use a login, and here we are.
Cool. Oh, that was also not too difficult, but there were a couple of things that I could imagine take some time to find it out yourself, like bootstrapping the app and
Yeah, I tried a number of different methods, just reading
yeah.
forums and documentation and all that. And this one worked the best for me with our DevExtreme template. What
Cool.
you can also do is you can say create a Electron app with another tool like Vite, which is what I would honestly recommend, unless you're using this template. Using this template, the method I just demonstrated is the best. But
Okay.
when you're using something like Vite, you can just simply add DevExtreme components just as you would with any other web app. It, I haven't found that it makes any difference. I haven't tried it myself, but I believe DevExtreme should work with Tauri as well. So Tauri is that you know that basically that framework that uses Rust as the back end and uh, JavaScript SPA framework is the front end, and that should work as
Okay.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard about it as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, everything is working. And up
Nice.
here, so I can say even go into the view, say zoom in.
Oh yeah, you can zoom.
Yeah,
Can you
all
change
this is
themes
working.
as well?
Yes, I can.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if we go to this task page, we can see that it has that teal dark theme.
Yep.
There's the purple theme. And of course, you can change these themes as well. You can add different ones, whatever you want. These are just some of the ones we added by default. In fact, I actually added this teal dark one myself. Just quickly, I'll show how to do that. So basically, what I did to add that theme is I came in here to the public folder. I added the actual CSS file, and I got this from the node modules folder under uh, devextreme/dist/css, and that's where the themes
Oh yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And also we have the icons. So these are the icons. I just created this component5.svg myself. And this one is essentially just um, basically that little icon that we see where it has
Yeah.
that little arrow material theme icon.
Yeah.
And also I'll note that these are all material themes. If you want to mix non-material themes and material themes, or compact and non-compact, it might cause some issues. Certain things might not render properly until you refresh the page. So that's just something to note.
Yeah. So stick to either material or the other one.
Yeah, but
Okay.
generally, I mean, you can still mix and match. You just might have to reload the page. So then what I did also is I came into my index.html, and down here I added this material teal dark CSS file here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And this is also where you can change the name of the app in the title bar. Not in the app here, but up here. So hopefully everyone can see my
Yeah. And
mouse.
I noticed a couple of like macros or whatever in the HTML file with the
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so the public URL thing, that is probably something that is dealt with by Electron, I guess.
Well, it would just be React in this case.
Or oh,
But
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the public URL is essentially just the path of our public folder.
Yeah.
You could just simply you could actually completely omit this, and it wouldn't matter. But this is just good practice, just in case someone moves this file somewhere else or something like that. Um, but this is just a lot of this is just standard React boilerplate that we didn't remove. A lot of this, for me personally, I would delete a lot of this. As an example, if we jump down here to our layouts page, we can see we have both the inner and outer toolbars.
Oh yeah.
However, we're only using one at a time, of course. So I
Oh.
would delete whichever one you're not using and remove the references just so it's a lighter weight project. That sort of thing.
Yeah,
There's
makes
just
sense.
less to it. We added a lot in here, so it's very customizable. However, a lot of it can be removed. Like some of these logos, like this logo. This is an SVG for the React logo. Like it's highly doubtful you'll be needing that sort of thing. Um, and also, I'm sure everyone knows that we have these SCSS files, so it does support SCSS if that's what you prefer to use. Um, of course, the regular CSS files work as well, and I haven't tried it myself, but I'm pretty sure you can use Tailwind as well.
Yeah, it would surprise me if that wouldn't work, but yeah.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
if we just jump into our package JSON file, like I mentioned, we have the dev dependencies that electron, and in other words, this really isn't being used to build the app. It's more just so we can start the app, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So we can
yeah, yeah.
package everything up. So if you were to take this React app and publish it, the build folder is what gets published essentially, and the dev dependencies aren't included. So you
Yeah.
can literally have both the web and the desktop app. So yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you can also still run the app in a browser, right?
yeah, exactly. And just before we go, I thought it'd be interesting to show how the app becomes responsive. So if I make this really small, we can see what happens where this side panel no longer pushes the content, but instead it overlaps the content.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so that's just a really nice adaptability thing, which we've taken care of. So no one has to do it. And that really, it's one of those things that's very annoying to have to do manually. And we've taken care of a lot of that stuff. Like also with the authentication, all the plumbing is all set up and you can just enter in some requests and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that
Cool.
pretty much wraps it up. Despite the slight technical problems, I think it went pretty well. What do you think, Don?
I was impressed because you were mentioning the stuff that you were going to deal with, and I thought, well, I'm not sure if we can wrap it up in an hour, but we did. Yeah, you actually did with the occasional bumps, but no big deal here.
Yeah, and
Um,
this is my last stream for this year.
yeah,
So I just
yeah. I
thought
was
we'd
just going to mention that. We'll have probably we have tomorrow. We have our last stream of the year, which is with Amanda and Eric. Eric will be talking a bit more about Blazor reporting, and yeah, then we'll be off because the week after is we're gearing up towards Christmas, and New Year's Eve is coming as well. So keep an eye on the agenda. We'll be online next year, I guess, and I'm looking in the chat box. I think you did a good job because there are no questions here.
okay.
I did post in a couple of links to the GitHub repositories and one to the documentation about the application template. So yeah, tomorrow we're back, or at least Amanda and Eric are back at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And yeah, for now, I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching.
Merry Christmas.